Like most, if not all, INFJ character types, I'm constantly looking to sort of find systems out of the things that go on around me and looking for explanations for how things are in the way that they are. And I'm 57, we're coming up for 57 now, and I've been traveling since I left the UK 40 years ago when I was 17 years of age. I've been traveling consistently since then, and my journey, as you'll come to understand, I think, if you follow this series of videos, has been an educational one, a fulfilling one, and as I now get into, you know, the latter part of my few short years on this planet, some of the things that I've always wanted to accomplish are now starting to materialize on the ground. And as an INFJ, having now had the luxury of being able to look back 40 years and see how my life has unfolded and the decisions that I've made and the incredible, you know, fortunate circumstances I find myself here in right now, the overarching sort of sense that I've been left with in the last 3 or 4 years, particularly, if I'm trying to look for an explanation as to kind of what life's all about, I would say that I was very keen to try to grasp what Western, Eastern, Judeo Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Islam to a degree, what the general sort of themes and messages were out of all of this stuff. And, you know, putting all the dogma to one side, because, you know, at the end of the day, all the sort of whistles and bells that go with any kind of mass means of thinking are just dogmatic, and they're irrelevant to what the sort of intellectual exercise is really all about. But he put all that to one side. What I found myself left with was an incredible sense of awe for the universe, and not really understanding what went on or where to begin to understand what was going on with the universe. And this general sense that if I did good things, then good things would happen in kind. And it's a very simple way of viewing the world, and I've felt my way through life like that. I would say certainly for the last 10 years or so, by necessity. I had to discard previous ways of viewing the world because I was going under when I went almost bankrupt 10 years ago. But about 10 years ago, I woke up to the fact that you can actually create your own reality if you do good things. So you should create your own reality if you do bad things. It's the same phenomenon. So if you're going to harness the fact that you can create your own reality, why don't you just create your own reality to do good rather than bad? It makes sense to me, particularly because good things come back to you. But in sort of, you know, pursuit of this thinking, I came to understand the difference between, you know, the id, which is the ego for all practical purposes, getting in the way of what has proven to be quite a successful way of approaching the world, which is to do good things, as I say. So get the ego out of the way and always do the right thing as best you possibly can, and life turns out basically okay. So I had this innate sense that this was how the world worked. And then a few months ago I discovered Jordan Peterson, and me, like millions of others, suddenly the scales fall from your eyes. This man is articulating what we all innately have a sense is absolutely true, and provides good justification for his logic. And that not only validated the way that I was viewing the world, but gave me an intellectual framework to progress my total understanding of the world, as INFJ character types inevitably do. So where am I now? Well, Jordan Peterson's explained the front end of life for me, let me put it that way. The back end of life came into view for me about 3 years ago, when I discovered Alan Watts, the British-American philosopher who died in 1973. But thankfully, his philosophy was recorded over many years, and you only have to look on YouTube to find out, you know, his work. And at the back end, when you're trying to have an appreciation of what might be going on in the universe, it was an eye-opener for me when he posed this following question, which is, try to imagine what it'd be like to go to sleep and never wake up. And then he says, you ponder on that, and that inevitably leads you to the next question, which is, what was it like to wake up after having never gone to sleep? So I'm going to say no more about that, but that line of inquiry opened up my mind to a whole array of possibilities, and that led me to researching quantum physics, and biochemistry, and law of evolution, just the whole idea of the kind of mechanical framework, if you can call it that, that surrounds the way that we experience the world. And when I now lie Jordan Peterson's philosophy next to Alan Watts' philosophy, I've now got at least sort of, I say I've squared the circle potentially in an understanding of what might actually be going on in life, and I found it to be absolutely fascinating and validating, and then I discovered Myers-Briggs, and now I've got the ability to sort of dissect, in a sense, that collection of understanding of Watts and Peterson, and slice and dice it into 16 character types, which explains, from 39,000 feet, if not down at the micro level, because let's keep in perspective. This character typing stuff is broad generalizations, but accurate enough for us to be able to relate to it, and therefore it's got social value. And I certainly I'm grateful that I've got this in my armamentarium of formulas and big ideas that you can deploy to try and understand what's going on in the world. So that's kind of where I am, right? Myers-Briggs has given me this ability to understand the human dimension with Watts and Peterson, and others, of course, but I just cite those two philosophers to allow me to sort of explore bigger, more deeper questions, but having a kind of a framework to be guided by. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. You'll be hearing more from me.